front of us here is Prince Vela Fakiyes of Aquitaine, 13 years of age, so barely even a person at this point, still so young that he can't understand the world, and I'm certain still too young to understand what actually just happened in front of him. He is part of House de Comignes with 100 members. Well, it used to be 101 until just today. Our father, Prince Vela's father, has perished as he was attempting to siege down the witch's stronghold. And now we are here. Our relatives are in power, and we have not been banished, but we have been placed in control of the meager Condado de Comignes. That is, coincidentally, and I love it so much, it really is, you know, history to a degree I think does indeed rhyme. This is where our house was founded, the House de Comignes. This is where our house was not just created, but now is returning to as well. In this video, I will have a long section where we basically just look at ourselves, look around, and try to understand the world, and try to, you know, at least to a degree, understand how Prince Vela may see the world. Oh, here you go. I had to get rid, as always, of debug mode. Now, this is insanely interesting. I sort of teased this in the last episode. I was shooketh. Believe me, I was shooketh when we, in the last episode, saw that we turned out to be Prince Vela, rather than any of the other children or grandchildren of our father. But I will be honest with you. You have to take them as they come. This is a mod, of course, and Inheritance makes it so that you inherit as any of the land-holding heirs of your player character, and I am a big fan of this mod because, well, it is very difficult to remain with the same quality, with the same direction, with the same personal level of roleplay if you are just sort of building up on the generational success of your ancestors. Erega Asna I, I will admit outright, has been one of the characters where I started to sort of lose it, where I sort of went into a direction of, yes, we are role-playing this character, but also, maybe my dynasty has greater goals, and all of this has now sort of been, you know, taken out of my hands. I don't have to consider any of that anymore because I am no longer his direct heir, well, not his primary heir. Let's take a look at the lineage here. First things first, we started, of course, as Duke Garcia II. Remember, he ruled for 17 years, participated only in 3 wars, but he was a good ruler. Well, he tried to be a good ruler. You can see we always had issues with money, and we were in a bit of a situation where, you know, we tried our best to keep our family at peace. That has definitely been a theme of this playthrough as a whole, I think, and all in all, I would say we played a pretty good role in this region. Then we continued onwards to Duke Asna II. A coward, a sadist, a truly depraved man. I believe if we check right here, we can see that he killed Conde Arnaud after it was revealed, indeed, that Conde Arnaud did what he did. Remember, Conde Arnaud was involved with, well, basically everybody, I think is a very fair way of phrasing that, and we put an end to this. Then Duke Lope IV took over. And Duke Lope IV, quite frankly, was a pretty decent ruler. He was the one that led the rebellion of basically the entire south against King Charles the Bold of France, because he was anticipating that Carloman would be taking over Aquitaine, and Carloman, of course, was a savage. Almost as savage as, you know, Lope's father, Duke Asna II, and yet he wasn't an amazing ruler. He was a ruler, there was a lot of strife in his time, and he wasn't able to really destroy all of it, to end all of the infighting. But he led us to independence, and he created the circumstances that then would allow my father, Erega Asna I of Aquitaine, to indeed become the first king of Aquitaine. That comes of the House Comignes, that comes from the family that is, of course, the legendary Vasconia dynasty, and that was Basque. And yet, Asna made mistakes. Erega Asna I, he sort of lost track of these small things. You can see that he was involved in 21 wars because he was so involved on an international, on a diplomatic level, and yet he never actually dealt with the demons that were within his very own house. I'm of course talking about Juan Mère Ida of Toulouse, the mother of the King of Italy, and, well, at the end of the day, also a witch, a murderer. All of it is known. Incestuous, she has been everything, and she has been applied to this kingdom, and yet, surprisingly, I will never get to decide her fate. Erega Asna was actively sieging down her capital when he perished due to gout, due to mismanagement of Zentulo, his actual, you know, head, and you can see there is no commander here. Well, not his head, his court physician, there you go. And with that, he perished. Now, he had a pretty good relationship with us, his 5th-born son, if I'm not mistaken. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, indeed. But at the end of the day, he was also fairly distant, or rather, should I say, he was involved in court affairs. He was involved in affairs that, you know, were important for the realm, and he didn't really get involved with us, because at the end of the day, as much as he cared much more for his children than, you know, his father Lope, who was always quite isolated and quite uninvolved, he didn't really educate me either. It was Berengui who taught me, who told me, and who brought the lessons of what it means to be a man and what it means to be a warrior into my life. We have had a bit of a, you know, we were sidelined. I think that is how we can phrase this. We were sidelined. Now, what sort of man, what sort of child has this made us? Let's take a look at this. We are deceitful. To lie and deceive is in Vela's nature. Maybe we are simply a chronic liar. We can't help ourselves. We just are lying, and maybe we aren't above going behind the backs of others. Now, I haven't used this ability, and it is such a vanilla ability. It is so much often used in this game, and yet I haven't used the fabricated claim on County. I think we may have used it once, but I don't think so. I don't remember using it a single time. Now, with this character, I might very well tell Tibalt, listen, you must get me a claim no matter the cost. That is something that I can most certainly see this character do compared to the characters that came before. We are also compassionate, both merciful and sympathetic. Vela is warm-hearted. And this is interesting. We may be deceitful, but it doesn't sound like we would torture, like we would be murderous. It sounds like we are in a position where maybe, you know, we want to go behind the back of other people, but not necessarily in a way that truly harms them. And on top of all this, we are also curious. There's rarely a silent moment with Vela, constantly asking questions. He's curious about everything and everyone. Now, we are betrothed to Stephanie Carling Retest, and she, I believe, yes, indeed, was being educated by Erega Asna I, which, quite frankly, I will interpret as our Vela saying, why was she loved more than I am? That is a question that I think does come up with a father that was so involved in the, you know, lives of his older children. He remarkably was not very involved in our lives. And do remember, when we were in a position of being or getting the betrothal done with Stephanie Carling Retest, this was entirely on behest of her father. Our father simply said, yeah, okay, let's do it. Prince Jacques, I disappointed you once, I couldn't defend you. I will reinvigorate this alliance by giving this betrothal indeed a go-ahead. And I'm not certain that Prince Vela takes so nicely to this. You always have to remember, you know, there is our mother, there is Fakir Jacques de Vasconia right here that was brought by our father out of being a nun. We have to recall this. He did everything for love. He did everything for the glory of Romans, and then Vela isn't permitted to have anything because of court politics. I don't think that there's a good chance here, I think, that we may not go through with this betrothal. It sounds like a betrayal, and, well, the reaction to this is that if people around us are deceitful, then maybe we have to be a bit more deceitful. This is a very interesting character. I saw a bunch of people point out they would have preferred it if we had turned out to be Prince Piares, but I will tell you, I think it is very interesting to have a relative like him, because we both are quite sinful people. He might even be more sinful than I am, but all that I know is the fact that at the end of the day, there can only be one, or that is often how it turns out. He is the brutal, the cruel person that turned out sinful. We are the still understanding and yet deceitful person. I'm very eager to see how we develop, but of course we're not at the end of this sort of overview. Let's take a quick look. Right, do we have any secrets? Anything I should know? He had a weak hook on me, of course, because he was my father and the house head. That is perfectly fine. You know what? I will put a couple... Oh. Are you the only person here? Okay, Guillaume, welcome. You are the only person in my court. Maybe we can get a couple more people there. Now, I do have a list of people that matter here. Let's take a look. Erega Asna II. He is our liege. I don't think he will be our liege for long, because we are part of the Jura Armagnac, and that AI-wise means that we will go underneath the Ducado of Armagnac either way. Now, we do not have a positive relationship with him. It does appear that even as 13-year-old, we for ourselves, are basically thinking this child shouldn't be the king. Erega Asna II Lopez doesn't deserve to be in that position. It is interesting, and we should keep that in mind. We do not have an immediate understanding that we should stand behind Asna II, as his rule surely is very fragile. The rebellion of the witch is still going on. I don't think we tolerate that. I don't think we care whether he is fighting a witch or not. He is 8, he shouldn't be ruling. Maybe I should be ruling. We're not exactly ambitious, but we are deceitful. Now, we also have Duke Piares. As I mentioned, he may very well become our liege lord. He's a contrite. He was the friend of our father, which maybe makes me a bit more positive towards him. You can see that I am indeed positive. He is also deceitful, which makes me a bit less trusting him, I think. But alternative, or you have to say additionally, that he is distinguished. He is a pretty upstanding man despite everything, and he doesn't seem to be somebody that would act against me because, you know, he's arrogant, generous, and deceitful. And I will tell you right now that as soon as we will be under his hands, you know, as soon as we'll be handed over by the king, he will feel fairly positively about us, because then he will no longer desire the Condado of Comignes. How our relationship with him will further, I am very curious about, but I couldn't tell you right now. What else is going on? Prince Asna IV. He is the Duke of Aquitaine. He got away with a pretty good title arrangement. You can see, since our father died and then he inherited the kingdom, our father died, but his firstborn son was already dead. The grandson inherited the kingdom, and then the secondborn son, so our older brother, Prince Asna IV, got the wonderful Duchy of Basque, and that is interesting. He is maimed, meaning that he might not be around for long. It is very important that we keep track of this, but we do like him. He is a talented diplomat, it seems, and that makes me very positive towards him. Maybe I even believe that he would be the better king. He's 27 years old. He has the age of a king. If not me, then maybe it should be Prince Asna IV indeed. He is married to Duchessa Judith of Basconiaco. Let's take a look here. Ah, that is the Prince Jacques marriage right there. Very, very interesting. I do not have a very high opinion of her. She is sadistic. She's a bad person. Yet again, another reason that I might break off this betrothal. We simply do not have a positive relationship with these French folks, with these fallen from grace folks, and I don't care for court politics because I have been so isolated from it by simply being the fifth-born child. Now, what else do we have here? We have our uncle, that is Lope II. We have a pretty decent relationship with him. I honestly, on a meta level, I don't think there will be too much to be done with our uncle here, because, well, he is a bishop, and the way it currently works, it shouldn't work this way. Let me tell you right now, somebody actually posted just very recently that they did not believe that I was correct when it comes to the theocracies having tremendous power. Let me tell you, you don't have to believe me, but you are wrong, because the power of the theocracies, especially here in the Rhine area, was absolutely tremendous. And the way inheritance works, when it comes to theocratic vassals in the game, is they basically just say, we just generate a random person. It is lunacy. It is lunacy in the sense that, historically speaking, many of the bishops, many of the archbishops that lived in this region, whether they are barons, whether they are proper, you know, county holders and whatnot, they genuinely, yes, they couldn't marry, but they have loved ones, and they would arrange for the bishopric to fall to one of their dynasty. This dynastic power, that is not just secular, but also on a theocratic level, couldn't be felt in CK3 any less right now, because, again, it just dismisses them and puts a random person in charge. But I just want to say that, on a meta level, I don't think he will have much influence, but I will tell you that Lope II, maybe, I don't know, he has a loved one, maybe he is in a position of saying, I will give these holdings to a new person that is also already, you know, I don't know, a monk, something like that. We will not experience this here, but I have my utmost respect, of course, for Lope II. We have a decent and okay relationship with him either way, and we will be going from there. Again, with him personally, with the way that inheritance works, I don't think we will see much influence or much interplay between us and him, but it is something to keep in mind, because historically, of course, he would have much more power. Now, there is also Roi Gelduin of France. Roi Gelduin is the king of France, and our heir, well, not our heir, but the person promised to us would technically get a claim on the Kingdom of France. There you go. I'll be honest with you, I will just keep track of him, because he does have a claim on Aquitaine, and that is very interesting. We are out of a position that was incredibly stable, out of a position that was incredibly well-deserved, where Aquitaine was incredibly powerful, the most powerful kingdom in the region. We're now in a position where Roi Gelduin could unify what belongs together, France and Aquitaine. Will he do it? I don't know. I do think he could pull it off. Look at Erega Asna II Lopez. He is very, very weak, and what happens next is very, very uncertain. So let's keep track of Roi Gelduin indeed. Rey Adelfonso IV, I will tell you right now that we don't dislike him as a person, but we have seen our father lead our armies time and time again down into Iberia, and he always had a tough time. Once he failed the second time, he sort of lucked out. He didn't exactly fail, but he didn't exactly succeed either. And right now, there's a fight going on in my very barony, and he is being destroyed. He is being destroyed by, I believe, actually, this may be the Lady of Toulouse herself. Where are you located? Yeah, look at that. She is there right now. She is fighting for her life, and she is destroying the forces of the King of Asturias. I have no respect for Rey Adelfonso IV after seeing such a cowardly, such a failed display of power. Yeah, he does not, I think, deserve our respect. Either way, important to keep track of, because of course he is married to Reina Elvira, and Reina Elvira is my aunt. So yeah, that definitely is something to keep track of. Now we have the the very centerpiece of my attention of the last 2 or 3 episodes, Juan Merida of Italy, and it seems as though she will get away with it. Now, this war that she is currently fighting, she will lose it. She will not succeed. Look at it. Our father was in the position of taking down her very capital, the home of her coven, and this will be done, and then she will lose the war. She will be imprisoned, but whether she will be executed, banished, or whether a few titles will be revoked, I simply do not know. I do not know what Erega Asna II, and maybe more importantly, what his council will tell him to do. Berenguer is of course on the council, but either way, I do not know what this will hold in the future, and I'm excited. I said this in the last episode. I saw people say, and again, I get the sentiment, I fundamentally understand it. I saw people say this didn't feel like it would open us up to anything interesting. This felt like just a setback. But here's the thing. I don't just want to blob. With the way it went earlier, and I sort of already teased talking about this, the longer you go, the more you are the top liege, the more you are simply very powerful, the more will you also follow intergenerational goals. You will less look at your character and more look at the goal. Oh yes, I would like to unify X and Y kingdom. I am free to give up on those goals. I am free to simply be Prince Vela. We will track what will happen with the kingdoms, but I will not get directly involved. What is our personal opinion of Merida? Well, I will tell you right now that I do think, no matter how we felt about our father, you know, sort of neglecting us, I don't think it was as strong as a neglect as Duke Lope IV's neglect of Asna himself, right? But I do think that we didn't have the strongest relationship with Asna I, but he still, when my father said something, when my father said she is incestuous, she is a murderer, and she is a witch, we believed it. I think that in our hearts of hearts, Prince Vela, in this case, and yes, he is compassionate, but in this case, I don't think he sees Ida as redeemable. We do not like her. We are deeply, deeply negative towards her, influenced, of course, by all of the sins that she has committed. Now, sins are one thing, because most of them can be redeemed, but what she has done, I don't think that is redeemable. So that is something to keep track of, because again, she will be very important. With me out of the game when it comes to leading Aquitaine, all of this may very well fall to Italy, leading to a drastically different kingdom of Aquitaine. We shall see. Now, we also have Faccio de Vasconia, our mother. We love our mother. That is as simple as we can, I think, say. She is sick, she has cancer, she is at the court of Prince Piaris, and as much as I do not like Prince Piaris, we sort of, I think, are just, you know, there's too big of a gap, of an age gap between us, and on top of that, of course, he's gluttonous and sadistic. He's a person that goes directly into the opposite direction. You can see, you know, the sadism and the compassionate nature of ourselves does not vibe very well, so I think we may very well turn out to be enemies. And you know what, let me just pin you right there. But we love our mother, so I do expect, I think that it is realistic to say that we will probably, you know, fairly frequently make the travel to Aroxella right here to visit our mother and Prince Piares. We do love our mother because she is, at the end of the day, the last remnant now of this old generation. Other than that, they're all gone. So I will try to keep track of her as well. Now, I also have a couple of other people tracked here. Currently, Fortune III is the head of the Vasconia dynasty. We will see where that goes. He is not he's not very powerful, but we'll see where that ends up. And yeah, then we of course have Atli. He is the king of Brittany, of Bertangaland. We will see how that goes. Oh, you will also notice that more cultural names has been updated. We're playing with it again. I'm very, very eager to see more cultural names. I missed Englerland. I'll just say it. Englerland just rolls off the tongue quite well. So, that is the position that we are in. There are many people that we will keep track of. There are many people that we have an opinion of. But ultimately, what this means is that, yes, we have claims. Yes, we may have some ambitions. But currently, we are stepping away from the center of power. We live somewhere literally in the mountains. In the Pyrenees, fairly isolated, fairly maybe idyllic, and maybe we will at some point step forth and rule. Maybe we'll at some point step forth and attempt to yet again intervene in court politics, but for the moment we are entirely divorced from it. The last people that I would like to take a look at are actually, first of all, my friends. I have two friends. I have Juan Catalina Aznares of Lotharingia, so the Queen of Lotharingia indeed. She's my friend, she's my half-sister, not born to the same mother, but born to the same father, and that is all that matters. We also have another friend. That friend is Gerzenda Lopez de Comignes. She is my niece. She was born to Prince Lope Aznares, who now already is deceased. He's the father of the current king, as you can see right there. So maybe Gerzenda Lopez, she is also only 12, of course, but maybe, you know, that is why I do not naturally feel inclined to rebel against our nephew king. At the end of the day, he will try his best. We will see how he rules, and based on whether he rules well or not, we will decide whether Gerzenda Lopez can have, you know, a voice in our ear and can tell us, hey, do not rebel against him or do rebel against him. The fact that she is the sister of the king makes it so that I think he may have some leverage above us or on us if he at least rules fairly well. Oh, you know what? I didn't even notice this. Prince Piares Fakirs is the friend of the ruling king of Aquitaine. I think it is fair to say that he is a puppet king. I don't think we realize this fully, right? But I think Prince Piares is currently pulling the strings of the kingdom. A friend, a ruler, and somebody that has always been very, very ambitious. He killed people in battle. He has established himself as a force. But we know that he cannot be trusted. I will keep an eye on this. This friendship is very, very interesting to me. Well, either way, we will keep track of our friends, of course, but that is, you know, they are friends, so we will be notified either way. I already marked you, that is good. Do I need to mark anybody else? I think the other interesting characters, you I now marked as well, Prince Louis Fakies. I will keep track of all of them. Belasquita, what are you doing? Belasquita has a crush on Duke Gerard III of Auvergne. He's not doing much. She's not in my court. If she was in my court, I might actually offer marriage between Auvergne and you know, so between her crush and herself, but not right now. Now, either way, I will unpause. We'll have about 10 minutes maybe of gameplay. Again, this was a huge catch-up episode, hugely important because just so much happened. Outside of that, I just want to highlight that in the world itself, I don't think too much changed. You can see that, you know, Khazara is still in revolt as they have been for such a long time. The Carlings over here are actually holding steady. We have the Norsemen still very much in Flanders and in Bertangaland, of course, and then down here in Mizre and Abbasids, we have rather weakened Muslims. What I did do is I am now playing with a mod that gets rid of the tribal courts. I talked about this in the Dev Diary video. I'm actually just not a fan of it. I don't think it's a good mechanic. It buffs tribal gameplay when it really doesn't need to. Tribal gameplay is strong enough as it is, but yeah, so other than that, I don't think I changed too much in the mod setup, so let's just take a look at this. We're not endorsed by Basque, really. He doesn't love me because I am deceitful. Well, we'll see where this goes. I'm not really negative about him, but okay, let's keep track of that. I can hire a court physician. This costs only 0.1. I will do it, and I will hire you. I think this may even give you Yeah, look at that. Opinion +5. Listen, I'll take it. He is, of course, a primas, so I shall give him this position as well. I am the first in line to inherit something. I'll be honest with you. I'm dismissing all of this. I will not be killing my relatives. I love the fact that there are so many relatives, and I am compassionate. I will not be killing people just to inherit. We also have too few Zaldunaks, but can't really change that. I could declare wars, but we aren't doing any of that right now. We're a child. I will simply live with what we have. I hope that we can get some more people into my court, but yeah. Oh, and what is this? A feast for the senses. Being at a feast is a flood of impressions. People are talking. The smell of all kinds of food fills my head, and what is the meaning of that servant wench's wink just now? Here comes our third character trait. We could become greedy because we see this luxury that we live in, but I will be honest with you. I will go with the committed story that we are basically we are feeling as if, you know, we are fairly isolated from court politics. We are in Comignes. We're not directly in Carcassonne, where the court of the king, of course, is positioned. Adults can be so much fun to talk to. We could become gregarious, and honestly, I would like gregarious in the sense that it might lead us into a position where we are just a very open, a very friendly person, but then again, we are deceitful. We are sort of divorced from an all-too-friendly character. What is our... look at him. He's cynical, gluttonous, and just. I think that this combination and this event make gregarious or lustful very likely. And I'm gonna be honest with you, I think lustful sounds very realistic to me. If we take anything from this, and if we take anything from the Occitan culture, then it might just be misunderstanding what romancing means. Chivalry and chanson de geste play a huge aspect in the culture of our educator. And we are interpreting this as something lustful, as something focused around lust. This should make for a very interesting character. I think very interesting as well when it comes to understanding the notion of the Occitan culture. Because, and this has to be pointed out here, we can still hybridize. I love the way hybridization works, and oh my god, we're going to take a look at that in a second. But we can still hybridize at a much lower cost now, because it would basically just regionally hybridize in our general vicinity. I love this. We can still very much go and get this done. And I think, I'll be honest with you, that we might just hybridize. We might just do it with our very own understanding of the culture. Now, wait a minute. I have a claim on the Vasconia dynasty banner. Why do you... You've gained a personal claim. You hold that banner. Wait, you hold the Vasconia dynasty banner. Why did it go to Duke Gilles Aznares? Honestly, that's interesting. Wait a minute. What artifacts do you hold? Oh no, those are your claims. Yeah, I was about to say, why are there two? He lost the banner to his brother. I wonder why. Either way, brother Aznar died. We talked about it earlier. Brother Aznar is now deceased, which means that, yeah, Duke Gilles Aznares. How did this happen? Why did you get the banner? You weren't the primary heir. You were the secondary. I guess you were the primary heir of that dynastic level, but the house head of Comignes is the king. Wait, you are the... Oh no, you're the house head heir. Yeah, there you go. You are the house head, and you are also the dynasty head because of all of this. Anyway, we ate some stress here, because of course we did like our brother. We didn't love him, but we did like him. And now, interestingly enough, we have somebody ruling Bascognac, actually, yeah, Poitiers and Bascognac. We have somebody ruling these lands that is significantly more powerful, because they now hold both of these duchies, but that is also 5 years old. Maybe they don't deserve holding it. We honestly, I want to grow up, and then we might make some moves. Oh, and we are under siege by the witch. I will not forgive the witch. Let's hope that this is done in a second, and... Oh, new leash. Right. He just transferred us to Duke Piares. We have a very neutral relationship. I'll just take that for what it is. I'm honestly not too convinced that we would act against him, and I don't think he would act against us as of right now. Errega Aznar II Lopez of Aquitaine. What will you do after winning this war? This is, to me, the one important thing that I want figured out in this episode. Will he punish her? Will he banish her? Will he just give her a slap on the wrist? At the end of the day, the decision that he takes, on a law perspective, which sounds ridiculous, but on a law level, the decision that he takes here I will put on the shoulders of of Prince Piaris. I think Prince Piaris is taking this decision. So I'm very, very curious about what decision we are going to be seeing here. We have a new liege. Oh, he just died of old age immediately after us being transferred underneath him. Duke Ramiro Piareses. What an interesting family name there. He has a claim on Bigora, so not on us. We don't need to be worried. We are very neutral towards him as well. He is deceitful, compassionate, and arrogant. Wow. He's fairly similar to us, but we need to be cautious around him, I think. That is the lesson that we're taking from his elusive shadows trait here. Let's take a look at our new fellow vassals. Conde Lope Fernandez. He is of House Gelones. He is not directly related to the witch. I mean, he is in the same family, of course, but he is from the branch that comes from Bordel rather than from Toulouse. So, honestly, he seems like a nice chap. Compassionate versus callous, right. That really does pit us against one another. Oh yeah, this is also another important thing to point out. We do not speak another language. We only speak Basque. I think this will play into how we hybridize the culture. I do think that will play into how we hybridize the culture. You know what, while you're here, if I were to hybridize the culture, which color should I choose? If you give me an RGB code, I can actually get that going within the code editor. I think that is how it works anyway, right? If I... Oh, it's not an RGB code, just basically... I don't know, just give me a rough color, or maybe give me an RGB code, I will Google it, but I do think that hybridization will soon, not next episode necessarily, but soon be upon us. Conde Yimeno the Woolcracker, that is such a cool name. Maybe he's a bit of somebody that, yeah, I think he's somebody that I idolize a bit when it comes to the exploits that he has seen on the battlefield. Yimeno, right here, overworked soldier, wrangling coaches, studied an old battle, and read a great sequel book. Huh? What is that? But anyway, Piaris is indeed dead. Now tell me, what do you do with Juan Merida if you do anything with her? Maybe you leave... Oh, she died in his prison. You know what? Dying in captivity is pretty fair. But this also brings us into a hugely different situation. Italy, all of a sudden, one of the most powerful kingdoms, and... who would agree, somebody mentioned it in the comments already as well, who would agree in a position that England had when it came to France. Italy may soon lay siege to all of Aquitaine, because they already hold most of it. Now, this is where we will end this video. It was a bit of an interlude. We would be, you know, primarily lying if I changed that phrasing there, because we were talking largely around our friends, our family, the people around us and ourselves, and in the next episode, Prince Vela Fakir's life will truly begin. I think it will be a very exciting one. I'm so hyped, because finally, we will have a martial-minded character that isn't really targeted at the battlefield, but much more at fighting, at duels, and so on, and let me just tell you, I have enough reasons to fight other people. Now, I will tell you for the moment, this is it, and I will see you in the next episode. Later, alligator.